May 26, 1940. Nazi forces squeezed British troops and other Allied soldiers to the shores of France along the English Channel. Every direction is surrounded by the enemy, except for one. 21 miles away, home is not too distant, but for those escaping the German grasp, fear is all too familiar. 400,000 Allied soldiers are trapped on the beaches of Dunkirk. As they await their refuge, Luftwaffe planes pummel the British with bombs, only noticeable beforehand by listening. Meanwhile, ships cross the daring seas to bring their young men home. It will take a miracle as the chances of escape hangs on by a thread. 8 months into the Second World War, Belgium is mostly shrouded in the shadow of Nazi Germany. Hitler's military campaign Blitzkrieg wreaks havoc as the scrambling soldiers are pushed back. An invasion had come through the Ardennes to bypass the Maginot Line along the Franco-German border. An area thought to be impossible to go through, German forces had easily swept into the border of France. By the end of May 1940, Belgium surrendered as the sliver along the French coast grew increasingly smaller. Communication and transport had been cut off between the Allied forces. British General John Gort realized that an evacuation of his men may need to be undertaken. French troops held back the German advances long enough for the British to escape to the beaches of Dunkirk. In the city of Lille, the Nazis started a siege while the French sacrificed themselves to defend their allies up until the end of the evacuation. Just over 6 miles from the Belgian border, the British and the French await their rescue. Approximately 400,000 soldiers are trapped between Nazi Germany and the English Channel. But across the waters, Britain is preparing to evacuate them from the beach. Prime Minister Winston Churchill and Vice Admiral Sir Bertram Ramsay ordered the start of Operation Dynamo, which consists of destroyers and transport ships. They must act quickly, as German planes soar through the skies, dropping bombs, terrorizing those below. As Operation Dynamo is underway, Nazi Germany has encircled the British to the beaches of Dunkirk. However, above in the skies, the RAF works around the clock trying to fend off the Stuka planes. Over the channel, 145 aircrafts were destroyed, but they made the effort to defend their men on the shores. Soldiers lined up in groups waiting for something to appear on the horizon of the sea. However, once in a while, tranquility would be broken. The sound of a diving German plane would terrify the British, who knew they were now just fish in a barrel. On May 27th, Navy vessels had reached the French shores to rescue the British soldiers, although they had only rescued 7,000 men on the first day. Then, 850 civilian boats arrived at Dunkirk, making their way across the English Channel. They were known as little ships. Even though they had only made up a small amount of the operation, regular people had put their own lives at risk to bring their troops home. By the end of Operation Dynamo, 198,000 British and 140,000 French soldiers made their way to Britain. It was a total miracle, although 90,000 more were left behind with their large artillery as Nazi Germany occupied Dunkirk on June 4th. Even with the success of the Dunkirk evacuation, German forces had now France in their reach, and on June 14, 1940, Paris fell to Nazi rule. Britain now stood as the last remaining country on the Allied side on the Western Front. So, in the House of Commons, Churchill recited a speech that would reflect the determination of all those who fought in World War II.
We shall go on to the end. We shall fight in France. We shall fight on the seas and oceans. We shall fight with growing confidence and growing strength in the air. We shall defend our island, whatever the cost may be. We shall fight on the beaches. We shall fight on the landing grounds. We shall fight in the fields and in the streets. We shall fight in the hills. We shall never surrender. And if, which I do not for a moment believe, this island or a large part of it were subjugated and starving, then our empire beyond the seas armed and guarded by the British fleet, would carry on the struggle until, in God's good time, the new world, with all its power and might, steps forth to the rescue and the liberation of the old.